Christianity is the world's largest religion, but it is not one single group. Over 2,000 years, it has split into many denominations. In this presentation, I'll explain why Christianity has so many variations, and then compare my chosen variant, Catholicism, with mainstream Christianity. Why are there so many variations of Christianity? One major reason for so many variations is history. The Great Schism of 1054 divided the Church into Western Roman Catholicism and Eastern Orthodoxy, largely because of the failure of the Eastern Church to accept the Pope's authority. Afterwards, in 1517, Martin Luther initiated the Protestant Reformation by launching a protest against such things as indulgences, which is temporal punishment for sins whose guilt has already been forgiven, and the declaration of salvation by faith alone. This produced further splits as new Protestant denominations were formed across Europe, typically governed by native rulers and cultures. Bible interpretation also brought about differences. Catholics believed Scripture must be interpreted using church teaching and tradition, while Protestants embraced sola scriptura, the idea that the Bible is the final authority in and of itself. This means that Christians would end up drawing different conclusions on worship, leadership, and salvation. Even the Bible differs, as Catholics possess 73 books, while Protestants embrace 66. Key people also helped shape Christianity's diversity. Martin Luther and John Calvin laid the foundations of Protestant theology. Henry VIII set up the Church of England when he broke with Rome. Amongst Catholics, the Council of Trent responded to the Reformation by reaffirming Catholic teachings and setting out sharp contrasts with Protestantism. Catholicism in relation to mainstream Christianity. Catholicism is the biggest of the Christian churches, with more than 1 billion adherents worldwide. It is focused on the Pope in Rome and marked by its recourse to sacraments, for example, baptism, its emphasis on tradition, and its acceptance of the continuity of teaching handed down in the church. Beliefs. One of the main differences is in beliefs. Catholics hold that salvation is through faith and good works. That is, that faith has to be reflected in practice, in charity and service. Protestants emphasize salvation by faith alone. Catholics believe in the papal office of the Pope as the head of the universal church, while Protestants reject papal authority and recognize Christ alone as the head. Catholics venerate Mary and the saints as intercessors in prayers as well, whereas Protestants don't usually. Sacred texts. Another difference is found in sacred scripture. There are 73 books in the Catholic Bible, that is, the deuterocanonical books, and the magisterium, the teaching authority of the Church, is the interpreter. Protestants use a 66-book Bible and are inclined towards personal or local interpretation, and that is largely why Protestantism has so many denominations. Ethics. Ethics also highlight contrasts. Catholic moral teaching is based on natural law and respect for human life. Hence, the Church is against abortion, euthanasia, and contraception. The Protestant denominations are not always in agreement on these issues. Some are highly conservative, while others are relatively more liberal and adapt their stand to modern situations. Rituals and ceremonies. Catholicism differs too in its rituals and ceremonies. It possesses 7 sacraments, including baptism, Eucharist, and marriage, which are direct experiences of God's grace. Transubstantiation, the teaching that the bread and wine of the Eucharist literally becomes body and blood of Christ, is one distinctive Catholic belief. Most Protestant denominations possess only 2 sacraments, baptism and Eucharist, and usually see them as symbolic, not literal. In conclusion, Christianity is so varied because of the schisms in history, differences in interpretation of the Bible, and the influence of powerful people and events. Catholicism differs from evangelical Protestant Christianity by reason of its doctrines about authority and salvation, its broader canon of Scripture, its ethics, and its sacramental life. These distinctions continue to shape Christians' way of living, worshipping, and believing today. Thank you.